Welcome to episode 3 of our summer series for 2025, in which Christina has picked an episode that I personally think is a key episode, because so often what drives the insomnia struggle is actually not so much looking at the night of not sleeping as a threat, as much as looking at the next day and how we will feel the next day as a threat. And that makes us pressure to sleep because we don't want to feel like we often do after not sleeping, right? And then when we're pressured to sleep, we don't sleep, and this becomes a loop in and of itself. But let's hear from Christina, and let's hear why Christina chose this particular episode as her favorite. Here is the message from Christina, who says, "Hi, Daniel. There's something missing here. It just says Asian. I'm not sure what word is missing here, but we'll just read it. Hi, Daniel. Asian and not being hard on yourself. You're ones about being afraid of the next day. This is actually a big one for me, Kern. A lot of Ali's ones are really, really insightful, especially about how to be gentler and kinder to yourself. These made a huge difference. I had thought I was past that tiredness phase, but I think now it's more about sleep deprivation symptoms rather than the fear of insomnia. With all your videos, I think my brain and nervous system know that being awake will definitely make you feel terrible the next day. But the process of not sleeping isn't scary. It's the symptoms the next day that makes me anxious and afraid of the sheer exhaustion. Most days I can push through, but I notice if I do that, then I feel worse the next day and the next day. I find I always have to balance. I have to rest also, sleep in the day also. When I do this, I can feel my mind and body coming back with energy and clarity. I really love all the ones where people talk about how hard the days were. That's the real deal breaker. And the ones that remind me that it's okay, that I'm not dying, LOL. I would really love if somebody shares a bit more their experience in this area. The heavy legs, the eyesight issues and brain fog, the nitpicking and inability to cope with stress like we normally would." And so, Christina didn't actually specifically say which episode she wanted to highlight, but personally, I think the one we're going to look at is a really, really helpful one, because it goes to the heart of why we feel so terrible, the next day, what things are so difficult the next day, and what the root cause of this is. So, and by the way, Christina mentions Ali's videos, and if anyone wants to peruse those, look for Ali's Take, ALY, dash, or like apostrophe S, and Ali's Take, and there's a whole series of Ali's Take. So anyway, without further ado, let's look at an episode that talks about where the difficulties the night after not sleeping comes from and how to meet it. Have you heard us say that insomnia comes from a fear of being awake at night, only to realize that you're not afraid of being awake at night? What you're scared of is the day after. If so, this episode is for you, because I really see so often that exactly this happens. If there's anything that drives insomnia more than the fear of being awake, it is the fear of the day after, or the fear of what will happen the next day. So glad you're here. Of course, sorry if this has happened to you, but glad you're here. And actually, before you jump in here, I want to say that I know that we're asking a lot. I'm asking a lot. I'm asking you for a willingness to really take a look within. And sometimes people share in the comment section that, hey, Daniel, like, why doesn't your channel have like 1 million subscribers? The reason I've come to see is that there are actually few people who are as courageous as you are. There are few people who are brave enough to really take that look inside. And no judgment. Like, it is very, very difficult. And for all those other people out there who haven't arrived where you are yet, I just deploy empathy and hope that one day they will find it within themselves, because courage really leads where we want to be. A little preamble there, but anyway, again, what I hear so often as I teach around insomnia and teach that it's really an ongoing self-perpetuating struggle that comes from the fear of being awake, then a lot of people say, listen, Daniel, like, I'm actually not scared of being awake at night. That part is okay.
but I'm afraid of the day after. I'm afraid of the next day. And then said person may, expand on that and share that the reason they're scared of the next day is that they feel exhausted, like completely drained, or very, very scared, frazzled, anxious, or more like the hopelessness, sadness, the crying, or maybe the physical experiences like, the shaking, the dizziness, the vomiting, the nausea, the burning skin, and things of this nature. And in light of that, of course, it is not hard to see how one can be really scared of not sleeping when the day after not sleeping is a truly difficult, miserable experience. And so, when I meet, when I get, when somebody tells me this, I should say, in a coaching call or in some type of coaching situation, I've come to use a thought experiment that I think is really, really helpful, which I want to share with you. And so I'm going to share the experiment with you, and then we're going to see why it can be so helpful. So what I would like you to do is imagine a person. Imagine taking a random person, and who's never struggled with sleep, just a random person, and keeping this random person up for 24 hours, and then asking this person, "How do you feel?" Okay. So again, we've kept a random person up. We are going to ask them how they feel, and let's think about what this person will say. Right? It's the day after, and most likely this person will say, "I feel tired, sleepy, foggy. I can't really concentrate the same way I typically do." And this to me is a very likely response again, like tired, sleepy, foggy. But here's the thing. Here's the real eye opener to me comes when we imagine what this person will not say. So again, we've kept a random person up for 24 hours. And what is it that they will not say when we ask them how they feel? This person will not say, "I feel this tsunami of dread, just coming over me. I feel like my world is about to end. I feel like, I'm crying, I'm panicking." And so when we see this, when we see that, okay, this person that we kept awake for a whole night, they actually don't tell us this, then what does this teach us? Or what does this entire thought experiment, I should say, what does that teach us? Well, I think it really teaches us two things. The first thing is that sleeping less in and of itself, regardless of how we think about that or interpret that, that actually makes us tired, that makes us tired. And I point this out because there's no point in trying to deny this. Like sometimes people are like, "Hey, Daniel, are you denying that, not sleeping has any effect on us?" Not at all. It absolutely does. This is the truth. It does affect us. It makes us tired. No question about that. But, and again, I think the second point is the one that really matters. What truly matters the day after sleeping little is not exactly how many hours we slept, but it is what we think that means. It's the internal narrative, the story we tell ourselves. That's what truly, truly matters. In other words, if we sleep little and we think that means something is wrong with us, we're broken, this means we're never going to sleep again, we're different from other people, then that will make us feel scared, anxious, hopeless, and have all these physical manifestations of emotions. So again, what truly matters to me is not how many hours we slept, but the meaning we ascribe to it. Now, often when I share this, there can be some objections to that. And as you mentioned, I want to mention kind of the two most common objections here. And the first one is this one that, hey, Daniel, like this may be true for one night, right? But if you have back-to-back sleepless nights, this is a different thing. This is a different story. And what I often actually say then is that there are people who have voluntarily kept themselves up for a long time. The quote-unquote world record holder, and this is not like an official title or anything, but back in, I believe this was the 60s, Randy Gardner set out to try to stay awake for as long as possible. And back in those days, I think it was fairly common to have these type of like competitions where you saw who stay awake the longest. And he, the data out there suggests that he was awake for 11 days. I don't believe that is possible without having some microsleep in there, but he was, let's say, mostly awake for 11 days. And when you read about his experience, there was actually no emotional component at all. He was actually functioning quite well. He beat his like this sleep researcher in some board game after many sleepless nights, and he felt tired, but he didn't feel exhausted, anxious. He didn't feel depressed, sad, anything like that. So I think even when it comes to like back to back, nights of little sleep, that need, of course, can make us tired. But what truly matters is not that we're tired. It's like the interpretation of the night. Even after many nights of sleeping little, we can feel tired without any of those emotional experiences. Another objection is this one: like, well, after years of insomnia, you can't just ignore a sleepless night. And my answer to this one is that this is truth. This is very true, because it has been a battle. It's been a struggle, and it takes time before we think about a sleepless night differently. It takes time before we see this as kind of a defeat or evidence that something is wrong with us, right? So to that objection, I don't disagree with that one. I just say it can take time before our thought habits, if you will, change. Now, finally here, one thing that may come up as you hear this is, okay, Daniel, well, you say that it's the meaning we ascribe to sleeping little that matters. Well, what is the meaning? What is the meaning of a sleepless night? And to me, the answer is there is no hidden message or meaning. It doesn't actually mean anything. It has no meaning. It is just something that happens when we humans are rattled. When we humans have been rattled, frazzled, scared, we sleep little. But it has no other meaning. It just means we were scared that time. Furthermore, when you are here, when you are brave and you take this journey to looking inside, then that fear that keeps us awake, the fear of the next day, the fear of being awake, the fear of fear, all that fades away and peace becomes a new reality. Again, thanks to your courage and bravery for being here. And with that said, I want to say, if you are finding your path to where you want to be, if you feel at this point things are getting easier for you, that is wonderful. And please let us know. On the flip side, if you are feeling alone in the struggle, if you have no sense of direction, you don't know where to go next, you're bewildered, puzzled, then please head over to our website, thesleepcoachschool.com. Check out our coaching options. You can schedule a one-on-one call with a coach, someone who's been where you are and has left the struggle. Or you can sign up for BedTyme, our app where you can work one-on-one with a coach in a text-based approach. Or you can join our Insomnia Immunity program, where we have a group coaching approach. And I think this is really helpful for someone who has been having more of an emotional struggle, because sharing our emotions, sharing the journey can be so helpful. Seeing that we're not alone can help so much. So if we see you on the inside, look forward to seeing you there. If I see you here in our free content, look forward to seeing you here as well. I'll conclude here and look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.
Hi, it's me, Daniel, and I hope you took a ton of value away from the video that you just watched. But if you have been watching for a long time, and you're still not at that place of peaceful sleep and peace of mind, maybe it's time for something new. And I say this because every so often, a student in our Insomnia Immunity program tells me, Daniel, I had been tuning in for 2 years, and I only decided to join now, and I don't know why I waited so long, because this is exactly what I needed. The thing is that our free content can be all you need. It can lead to where you want to be. And this is, of course, why we share everything freely. But often we need a little bit more than that. Support, community, guidance, discussion, discourse. And you can find this in our Insomnia Immunity program. You can find it in BedTyme as well. So if you've been tuning in for a long time, and you think it's time for something new, then check out these options on our website, thesleepcoachschool.com. And if you decide this is the time to join, then we can't wait to see you on the other side.